Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Old Reader, New Reader. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well. I'm here with two of my favorite people, Lee and Joe. Welcome back. Thank you for hanging out with me.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Now, we kind of messed up because, it's supposed to be an old reader and a new reader, and we're all new readers on this. So,
Right.
whatever. It's fine. Eventually,
All
that's just
good.
how it's going to be.
At some point, it was bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it happens every once in a while because what are you going to do? Sometimes I just want to read a book. It doesn't really matter if, it's going to work out or not. So,
Yeah.
we are here and we're talking about the wicked and the divine. I've heard about this book forever, ever since I first started getting into comic books, and then never really checked it out. I would see it kind of show up on Humble Bundles and stuff. This is the first time I was actually reading it because I was I know it's good. Everyone said it's good, so I figured we'd have a lot to talk about at least. And they were right. They were very
Yep.
right. And unfortunately, a lot of it's super out of print. So unless you can buy it for somebody else, like Joe's, Joe did. Good job,
Let's
Joe.
do it. Yep.
There's not an easy way to get to it. But I think I lucked out because it was half off on Comixology today. Because I would have bought you guys early, and I procrastinated and got mine today.
Yeah.
It was half off. I was like, yes.
A bunch of it right now is half off, I believe, as
Yeah.
well. All the deluxe on Comixology are.
So it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate Comixology a lot right now, but the price was good, so
Mhm.
I'll take it. Yeah, hello everybody. Tons of great people in the chat today. I guess I should do my little quick what this is spiel, the book. So, for those at home, we will get into spoilers. But like I always say, even us talking about it, chances are it's not going to ruin the reading experience for you because we're not going to be able to touch all that they talk about. Also, we were just discussing book 1 out of 4 books. So that's the deluxe.
Right.
That's all that we've read so far. So we're not talking about the entire series. So luckily, whatever we're talking about, we are still going to be surprised later on as we continue to read this, as will you. Basically, in this world, in the wicked divine world, gods come to Earth, basically take over bodies
Right.
of 12 people once a century. And apparently they are different gods every time. It's not always the same ones, but it's gods that we know of, in different world cultures. So
Right.
you've got Lucy, aka Lucifer. You've got Amaterasu, which is a Japanese god. You've got Morrigan, which I don't know what Morrigan is from. When I hear Morrigan, I think Arthurian legend, but I don't know. Baal is a Norse god.
Yep.
And then a few others who I don't know what they are.
Same. There's a lot. Yeah. There was a few I didn't know. I'd never heard of them before in my life.
So we follow this main character whose name I've already forgotten.
Laura.
Laura, thank you. Of course, it's a normal. That's why. It's a normal name. Who basically, through chance at a concert, becomes acquainted. Yes, meets acquainted. Thank you.
There we go.
Sometimes words don't happen with Lucy, aka Lucifer, and through her involvement with her and some very unfortunate situations surrounding her, like the death of someone near Lucifer and then Lucifer's blamed, she ends up being kind of ingratiated into the wider god cohort. But more things happen. We'll learn a little bit about the kind of the lore of what's happening, and there's a bunch of guessing of, okay, one of these gods is acting out of hand and doing things they should not be doing, and also figuring out who is part of the rest of the pantheon, as it were. So trying to figure out who's the last person in the pantheon, or is there a mistake in the pantheon because some different gods kind of arrive later on in the scene, and how powers are transferred, things like that. So a lot happens in this, but it's super cool and very it's a modern telling of this. All of the people that are part of this pantheon are very almost celebrities, pop stars. They all kind of sing and do these different things. So a lot
Right.
of people in the world go to see them at concerts and things. So they're that kind of level of fame. So that's my quick spiel of what this is. Let's get into it. Joe, let's start with you. First thoughts. How
Uh,
do you feel about it?
so I don't mean to spoil what I think about the book, but I loved it. The first thing that
Sometimes we spoil early. It's okay.
yeah, the first thing that came to mind was reading a book this dark. You tend to get art that is more gritty, is more dark. So when I first opened it up, again, I think I told you before the show started, I didn't know anything about the book other than the title. So I was like, okay, maybe I it's called Wicked and Divine, so I'm sure there was going to be some kind of dark themes, but I didn't know it was going to be this dark or this mature. Let me say. And so the artwork is just super clean and just super well done. Jamie McKelvey, I believe, is the artist. And man, every page, like you just start the first, I guess it's the issue cover, is the artwork of Lucy. Is it Lucy or might have been Laura? But
yeah, Lucy first.
Right. And it's just everything just seems clean and the facial expressions and just was like, well, okay. And I didn't know what to expect. And going into it, I don't think I've ever read anything like this. I've read stories with gods and stuff, but nothing like this with this theme where they're basically resurrected into somebody that's already living and they're only on Earth for 2 years.
Right.
That's another little story bit. But so it was refreshing. It was like it made me feel like this is gonna sound super corny, but it made me feel happy to be a comic book reader because this is just showing you what the medium could do. You know,
100%
and
agree.
so used to reading, the big two, and you know what you're getting, right? You're getting the superhero and everything is safe. That's like a security blanket. And then you go to these creator-owned stories and everything could just go ape shit at any point. And it just is refreshing. So
hard agree.
Yeah.
Kind of like the feeling Saga gives to a lot of readers.
Right.
That kind of similar feeling, where it's just a completely new world and such a bright use of color throughout. And I love gods and any sort of that kind of tales. I'm all for it every time. But every one of the gods was so different and particular and so recognizable in such a fun way. Before I talk more, though, Lee, first thoughts.
Yeah, the first thing written at the top of my notes is quotation marks. What if Sandman was good?
Wow, people are gonna get you.
I know I'm gonna get lit up in the chat for that. The second thing that I have written in my notes, and I think I may catch shit in the chat for this as well, is that the premise and the art are better than the story. The story's okay, but the premise and the art go a long way for propping up what is otherwise just kind of like your stereotypical American gods, like, oh, the gods have a power struggle. But the premise in which the characters are placed, like, props this up to a point where, like, it keeps me reading. Where normally, like, which god's backstabbing which god would usually bore me because I've read that story a million times. But the premise and the art, like Joe was saying, they hold it up for me, and I loved it. And Joe made a really good point that there are things that are done in this book that show off what comic books can do in the way that another medium couldn't do, right? So the thing that comes to mind is the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes. I did want to talk about that because I love that. But continue.
Yeah, you can't do that kind of like the play on panels and the split screen between like your motif and your thing. You can't do that in other mediums. It doesn't work as well. Like I'm thinking like 24, the TV show, tried to do something like that with their ticking clock, but it doesn't have like the visceral like gut punch that it has here, and it's really really good.
Yeah,
the premise and the art alone are worth buying every hardcover.
Yeah. Like the only sort of like TV media I can think of that would have that same kind of feeling is like heist movies like Ocean's 11, 13, like they have those like kind of split screen, and like the new Cowboy Bebop live action. But that, again, that's also based off of, anime and manga, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I certainly agree, because I feel like there's something to be said about that sort of layering that adds to the story, and of course makes it really clean. It also reminds me of sort of like a marketing, like a very well done marketing campaign.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the branding of the book throughout
Yeah.
is is so succinct and recognizable, and it just, I think it just adds to the oh my gosh, I'm not gonna say modernity of it. I am. Whatever, it's fine. Um, it's just, there's something about it that helps it flow, and helps put you into the world of it in a
Yeah.
way that's kind of weird, because you wouldn't. It's hard to say, like, oh, because they separate into these, square panels and they have this counting, it puts you into the zone of like the world building, but it kind of does.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. Um, I'd say the closest other media that could do something similar to
Yeah.
animation. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
This has pieces of it that really reminded me of Into the Spider-Verse, the way that Into the Spider-Verse leans
Hmm.
into allowing campy and like funny things to happen in the margins of the screen that are really comic booky, and they add an atmosphere that like puts this polish on the overall work that makes it better, right? Like Into the Spider-Verse is a pretty good standard Spider-Man story, but there are these little like motifs from the comic book sprinkled throughout that like give you a laugh here or there, or like make you go, oh yeah, that's good. And this book has that, right?
Yeah. So something I want to talk about was, I mean, all the gods are really interesting, so I do really want to talk about them. But I found myself really appreciative and interested in Laura a lot as a main character. I thought she's really easy to kind of like get into and follow through, because by herself she's an interesting character. Most time you have
Yep.
like a main character that like they want someone who doesn't want to be part of that world and gets thrown into it, because all the gods are very charismatic people that kind of like steal them into this, which is a trope of many a manga,
Right.
especially romance manga,
Sure.
and comics as well. But she was really interesting. She already was like a super fan
She's all
Correct.
in.
Yeah, she's all exactly all
from
in.
the get go. She's like, "Yep, I'll be there. I want to be in all of this." And
Yep.
and she commits immediately.
That's what I have this written down, is that like I'm worried about Laura, and this is the old man in me. I'm worried about Laura by issue 5 because she's not putting effort into school. She's not putting
Right.
effort into her personal life, because plan A is to get possessed by a god, become a rock star, and die quick.
Right.
That's plan A, and I find myself being like, this girl's gonna be so crushed when this doesn't happen for her. Right, and that's the central theme of the book is fame, the good things that come with fame and the bad things that come with fame. It's the key theme of the book. Like they even go to a Comic-Con for gods at one
Right.
point, right?
But I mean, it's what's scary is that there is actual teenagers out there in real life that are all in.
Oh
Right?
yeah, sure.
Trying to meet
And
these real.
this goes way back, right?
Yeah.
This goes
Yeah.
back to like the beginning of whatever, like rock and roll
Mhm.
culture, anything that they're kids that are like, yeah, I'm not gonna
Absolutely.
try in school or anything. I'm just gonna focus on being a rock star. And yeah, it works for Ozzy, okay.
Mhm.
It works for Slash, right?
Right.
But like the old Midwestern man in me is like, you gotta get a job, kid. You gotta pay your bills.
What's your backup plan?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I kind of, it was kind of refreshing to see a character like that, weirdly,
Mhm.
Yeah,
because I'm so used to like being a contrast
yeah,
throughout. Or, they bring in somebody who's there as more of an intellectual, but she's been a fan of the gods themselves, being ready for this because of
Right.
her
yeah,
mom. And then when they come up, she's like 100% fan at all the shows,
yeah,
and she's like, I will sacrifice my own life. I'll get out in my own way to go
yeah.
meet them. And then
Right.
she stands up to them the whole time, which I also really enjoy. She's either like standing up to Ananke, I'm never gonna know how to say her
Ananke,
name.
yeah.
And on K, okay.
Yeah. Or, she's crushing on Ball, or she's
Ball,
doing
right.
all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And she's just like, yeah, this is where I belong, this is where I want to be. And the whole time I really enjoyed her back and forth of just like, man, I mean, I'm happy for my friend. He got to be a god or whatever, but like I still want it to be me.
Right.
You know, I know it
Yeah.
can't be, but like maybe it still can. And I think a part of her the whole time is like, if I figure out who killed this person or who wanted to kill the gods, maybe I'll figure out a way to get powers still.
Right.
And then when it finally, you know, spoilers, happens for her, man, that was a great ending because it was like, hey, you got it.
Yeah.
But we know she
that
comes
was
back. So I don't
that
know what's happening.
I had no idea that was coming. I had no idea the end of issue 5 with Lucy and
Yeah.
Anante, and it just that's what I think just kept me going. I was like, whoa, okay, hold on one second. Let me just
That's how you
Yeah.
get people. You kill a main character really quickly.
Well, the writing is really good at throwing you sideways every time there's
Yeah.
like a plan established. Every time the characters decide to go down a road, all of a sudden someone gets hit in the head with a brick and you can't go down that road anymore, right? And then
Yeah.
there's always like a drastic turn that keeps the plot from ever following a trail. It has to keep changing. That makes it engaging.
Yeah.
But Maddie, I think you're right. You hit the point perfectly in that so much media gives us the reluctant hero, right? To the point that like it's like a central part of like the hero's journey to deny your destiny, right? Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker denies that he can be a Jedi. It's in every screenwriting book. It's like the hero has to struggle with their destiny and try to reject it. And it's cool to see Laura be like, no, this
No, but I want this though.
yeah.
No, I want this. I don't
That
care what
Whatever it
bad
tension
stuff
is
is.
refreshing because it's nice to see somebody who genuinely likes something. That's engaging.
Yeah, I rooted for her. And I definitely want to leave point. I guess we'll do our like predictions, and the people who've already read it can be like, "Hi, losers," or something at the end. So we can talk about other things because like I already have theories, and I can't wait to read more.
Okay.
But I would like for us to talk about the other pantheons or the other gods in the pantheon, Ananke, Lucy, all of them. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about them. Any favorites? Any dislikes? Any people you want more from? Things you were surprised by?
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
So the first person, as you guys was speaking before, the first person that also came to mind was the counterpart to Laura was Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who you have somebody that in Laura who believes in everything and believes this and wants it so bad, and Cassandra's just like this is all smoke and mirrors. Like this is not for real. Like and at every turn she's just like denies until she sees it actually happen and she's like, oh shit, like this is
I
actually...
loved her.
And then her little twist in the middle of the book too,
so good.
and so now I want to know, I forgot her name, it was Erda.
Oh yeah.
And her two sisters.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a character I want to know more of because she was introduced later on in the book. So, and that's the other thing that I kind of like too, is like these gods will come back onto Earth, will inhabit somebody who's here ready, but also maintain their memories of that life. And so they're living this dual, it's like a dual person. And now this person has to deal with the fact that they are only going to be on this planet for another 2 years. And then that's it.
Yeah.
So, and I know maybe we're going off the rails a little bit, but just seeing like, for instance, when Lucifer dies, right?
Yeah.
And you have that moment where you see the parents that were like, wait a minute, this wasn't Lucifer to us. This was our daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was like that moment right there. And I think it was just like 1 or 2 panels. I was like, that's pretty deep.
Yeah. I mean, so it uses a core theological concept, which is like the dual nature of Christ, right? In Christian theology, Jesus Christ has to be 100% human and 100% God to both be divine and redeem the sin of mankind. It's a purpose that Christ has to be 100% human and 100% God. He can't be 50-50, right? He has to be 100% of both. This book plays with that in an interesting way because at the same time, whenever these people are possessed by these gods, whenever they're like touched on the forehead by a knife, they get all the collective millions of years back to the Big Bang, memories, baggage, loves, hates of these gods. But you are also an 18-year-old kid.
Exactly.
And you have both of those in you at the same time. They show it really perfectly with two of the gods, and specifically, one is Minerva. Minerva's right. A 9-year-old kid who's really sad about
it reminds me of
having
the Eternals.
Yeah,
of that
sad
kid in
about
there.
giving all this up. And then they show it with Cass. Whenever Cass first finds out she's a god, first thing she says to Laura is like, "Are you glad I'm gonna die now?" Because they don't like each other, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really, really good.
Well, and it also, like, just interrupt real quick. I always forget his name, but she hung out with him, and he's all like shiny and glittery.
Oh,
and really, he's a nice one, Inanna or something.
Inanna.
Yeah. He's one I thought was really interesting, and I'd like to know more about, because he already knew Laura and he remembered her. He's like, no, I was just kind of a wallflower. And I thought he was so sweet because he got the powers and he was finally able to kind of be himself in a grand, brave way.
Right.
And feel comfortable. And I thought that one was really sweet, because the rest of them, it felt like they kind of became this, like, kind of douchebaggy,
yeah.
Evil, rebellious, sort of like,
rock
narcissistic pop
yeah.
star. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this guy that's just like really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I remember you. And I was just there. I mean, you wouldn't have remembered me. No one would have at that time. But, like, it was through this I could really be kind of happy. And, like, I feel like that's someone that's like, hey, I want to make these last few months of my life really good. And even when the bad thing happens to him, he's like, you could be like this instead. You prolonging in this and still being like this isn't gonna make your life any better. Like, be like me. I've found peace in this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like kind of saved my soul about it. And I loved. He's one who's like the before after I thought was incredibly interesting. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
So to get to your specific question, Maddie, I made a little matrix. I have a little table on my notes.
Love it.
This is why I love Lee. This is why.
Which rock star each god is. I was trying to figure out which rock star each god is. So,
tell me more.
Woden, I want to know who Beyonce is.
Woden is Daft Punk for sure, with the helmet and the futuristic robot
also,
EDM
can we
thing
talk
going.
real quick about his yellow fever and how he's completely unapologetic? And he's like, I'm building an aesthetic. And I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This guy was a total weeaboo, or like total like anime fan in college, and had like no game, and he got powers, and he's like, no, it's my aesthetic.
What's the the term loser back home? LBH, is that the term?
I don't know.
It's like white college guys who like go to Hong Kong on spring break, and they're like ladies' man.
I was a Japanese major, so we called them all weeaboos.
Yeah, okay. That's what it made me think of. All right. So Woden's Daft Punk for sure. Lucy is Bowie, Ziggy Stardust.
Oh yeah,
100% Bowie. Morrigan, I think, is Amy Lee.
I was thinking Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Yeah, I think Morrigan is Amy Lee with the feathers and everything. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Is it Amaterasu? I wrote down Amy.
Amaterasu, yeah.
Amaterasu. It's Stevie Nicks, easily.
Yeah. Like a Stevie Nicks Florence and the Machine.
Yeah.
Crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Ball is Kanye. To the point that he has paintings in his home of himself surrounded by
and he is the one that was like, listen, I was saying I was a god before I became a god. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Minerva's obviously MJ. Look at the jacket. Obviously Michael Jackson. Baphomet is Glenn Danzig. Praise be his name. And then I have Inanna, who's my favorite god in the book, is Prince, and it's that key reason.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
I'm a sucker for Prince.
His face looked like Prince.
Yeah, there was a panel that it looked exactly like.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing.
I'm a sucker for Prince. Love the man. Love his music. Love his work. Love his aesthetic.
The Trickster is saying Morgan is based on PJ Harvey.
I'm gonna show my dweeb a little bit and have to Google PJ.
I had to Google because I don't know their stuff.
PJ Harvey.
She's an English singer-songwriter.
Hmm.
We'll have to look at that later.
Yeah.
And Minerva is Grimes. But was Grimes around then?
No, like one, Grimes wasn't around then, and two, I don't think Grimes is known for that sort of 80s chic formal aesthetic either. When I think of Grimes, I think of like the Dune Freeman suit, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. McKelvey says in the deluxe cover. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I want to know all of it.
Makes sense.
Thank you, Trickster.
What is Morgan's alter ego, the healing god?
Amy.
Amy. That's Sinead O'Connor.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, 100% Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah. And then there's the other Morgan character. Was it something with a BABD? I think it is.
Babbed.
Babbed.
Right?
Babbed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grimes do a variant cover. What? What is
Every
this?
day, the Lord God in his divine wisdom finds new ways to punish me by learning facts about Grimes' life. I just found out yesterday that Grimes worked on the Dune movie for a while, and every day I learned something that chips away at
Well, Gnea said Sakamo's Defriana. I could see it.
I can see that.
Yeah. That
I can
makes
see
sense.
that. How about Is it Baphomet?
Baphomet, yeah. Baphomet's Danzig, Glenn Danzig.
Danzig.
Yeah,
I can see
100%. Shirtless with the jacket and the fangs and everything. By the way, the one-upsmanship battle between Baphomet and Morgan in the subway, that's like the coolest shit I've ever seen. Right. That's
absolutely.
the coolest comic book fight I've read like
Right.
in forever. It's a terrific fight.
Yeah.
Well, and Morgan's so cool. I love that she's got like multiple things happening, and I love the way that like she was described. Everybody's just like so they've got to see her, but they're so terrified of her that she lives in the dark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's so neat. If I read this in like middle school, I've been like, she's the coolest person I've ever seen.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I wanted to be goth so bad. Oh man, I guess let's talk about Baphomet, our current villain.
I feel like Baphomet is like a red herring that's not even used that way. I feel like Baphomet is the character you're supposed to look at and be like, all right, he would be the obvious bad guy.
Oh yeah, there's no way he's endgame.
But he's not a bad guy. To me, Ananke is the villain way before she does what she does.
What's her deal?
Right.
What is happening?
I want to know what her deal is because
So, for Laura is so in love with the idea of being a god, loving the gods, worshiping the gods, being around the gods. And at first you think her opposite is Cass, who thinks the gods are a joke and everything, but then...
Well, it never was affected by them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why don't I have this highlighted somewhere. I have why don't I feel anything in quotation marks and a big sad face next to it. You're supposed to think that Cass is Laura's opposite until Cass becomes a god herself, does the nihilistic rock show and people cheer, and then you realize, right, Cass wasn't a non-believer. Cass is also a fanatic, but she's an atheist fanatic.
Mm-hmm.
And
she hates it.
We've all met atheist fanatics who are not just like, I don't believe in God, but anyone who has a religious preference is a moron and is beneath notice, right? That's what you get. And that is a religious belief system that is equally as fanatical, right?
Absolutely.
The opposite of Laura is Ananke, who has no joy in this incredible power and this rich life and this huge purpose she's been giving. No joy whatsoever. And I got that from like the third issue. I was like, this old bitch is being like really hateful to everybody. And these people are so cool. How can you be hateful to them?
Yeah,
it's just her, like though. Bowie with the pompadour. How can you hate him?
They love her so much. The minute she shows up, it's like that, like a mom you haven't gotten to see in a long time. And you've really gone through it. Immediately, they all hug every time.
Yeah.
I've got to know her deal.
Right. Yeah. And she loves them all, right? I love you, or I'll miss you, or...
Like, are all these people actually gods? Or
Even if
she
I have
says
to pop your head like a
she's
fucking
Right.
right. I love you. You'll come back to us or
Yeah.
whatever. Because like in my mind, I'm wondering. No, I guess we. Okay, you know what? Can we go ahead and theorize?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck structure. Say what you feel.
Okay, so I have a few things forming in my head. Don't tell us in the chat, guys. No spoilers. Only read book 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering if all these people are actually the god she's looking for, or if she decides. Because I wouldn't be surprised if she kind of decides along the way.
And
Who
creates
is who.
them is
Yeah.
bringing them and gives them the host. You mean?
Clarifying question: is it the same gods every cycle? Every 90 years,
No.
is it the same 12 gods?
No.
Okay. Continue.
Or at least that's already confirmed in the
All
book, anyways. Because I think they said Baal isn't always there. Baphomet, one of those two guys wasn't always in every rotation.
I'm also curious about the round table that they had in the 1920s. So
Yes.
who were the gods there?
Absolutely.
They don't really get into that, but
yeah. And they all chose to kind of kill themselves at that moment.
right, they did the
Which
whole
is
snap. And
interesting.
mm-hmm.
So I was kind of curious about like what the decision is there,
Right.
because I can't help but wonder like maybe her story has ground to it, but maybe it doesn't. And maybe she's like creating these to like kind of keep herself going or something like that. There's just a lot in my head that I'm like, okay, I want to know how it's all actually working together. Because if these people are created to like fight some big evil so civilization can continue,
Right.
then how do you have characters like Baphomet? Like
Lucifer.
and like, well, how is there like one in every pantheon that is the darkness, and so you just have a
Right.
chance, you know, that maybe you're gonna mess it up? Because right now we have 13, it's supposed to only be 12.
Yeah.
So is one evil
Well,
and the rest are good?
aren't we
What's
back down to
else?
12?
We should be back down to 12.
And that's the other thing. Like, if one dies, do you get to make another one,
Right.
or is it like what's the math?
I also want to know. So when Cassandra turned into a god, she kind of got weak. Ananke
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Why did that happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless I missed it, but
she says it's always taxing or something.
Right, it's always taxing. Why is it taxing on her?
Yeah, because she looks like she's worse off now.
Right.
Especially like, I mean, she does not look great by the time she sees Laura either.
Right.
So, I have a theory. Might be all fucked up.
All right? I have no theory, so I'm just listening.
Persephone. Persephone is the wife of Hades.
Yeah. So did she kill her so she would go down to the underworld?
Persephone is a prisoner of Hades. She's not a willing bride. Kept trapped in the underworld by Hades. Is Ananke Hades refusing to let Persephone come to the world of the living? Keeping her locked up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But it would make sense. Because, I mean, like, if you have Persephone, you have to, like, do they have to fulfill the role of their godhood or whatever?
That's my question, because
Amaterasu needs to be, like, hidden behind a rock or whatever, like, for a while or something.
Lucifer's not trying to overthrow shit. Lucifer's just having fun. And the role of Lucifer in the dogma is to overthrow the righteous. Lucifer's not interested in overthrowing the righteous. Lucifer's interested in having fun.
Yeah.
It's hedonism, right? Which is not Lucifer's historical theological role.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen because I still feel like based on the narration, we know Laura's not gone.
Oh yeah,
and maybe I saw a cover where she's old. I don't know. But based on narration, she's not gone. So I do think your theory has some credence to it, where there's something underworld involved, something hell, something whatever, or like the darkness where Morgan lives. You know, they always say that like they can't access that or whatever. Yeah. So I wonder, there's got to be some other thing to this.
Mm-hmm. Also, the when it was not the Morgan, the what's the bald, the Sinead O'Connor,
Amy,
when she basically says that Lucifer is now dead.
Yeah.
So is Lucifer never coming back? Is he or she wiped from from everything?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because she was able to bring back the police officer and said he was just sleeping and could tell that Lucy was dead.
Yeah.
So, and Ananke has that type of power. So that's even more like, I want to know more about this woman.
It's killing me.
And how she's able to do this.
We gotta know. We're gonna have to read the rest and do another show about it. Damn it.
Well, that's what's good about the book too, right? I remember finishing the book. I went over to Gabriella and I was like, "This book is so good," but it also opens the door for me now wanting to read more on these gods.
Oh yeah.
To see, what's possibly coming next, who they could use, all that stuff. So
yeah, I can't remember the last time I've wanted to like think through and theorize like this.
Right.
I do this a lot with like TV shows and like One Piece because it's ongoing for a million years. But yeah, I feel the same way, and I'm a sucker for mythology. So like any culture's mythology, I love hearing about. I love video games about it. Like I love that. But I agree. I want to like go and Google everybody now before I read more and kind of make my own. I love making a theory and seeing if it's going to happen.
Right.
But then if it's worse than my theory, I get really upset.
We should get together this weekend and make like a post-it thing on the wall.
Strings. Right. Can we use all of our intelligence training and make like a star analysis?
Do you remember when we did the Godfather thing where you had to like map every character in the Godfather and demonstrate how they're connected to criminal? You could do that with this easily to try to figure out the mystery of who the killer is.
I'm never going into actual intelligence work, right? So let me just use it for this shit. I use it for this like true crime podcast, I'm like, no, but listen, if you look at this, here's the probability. Like LA's like, that's cool. Weirdo. Edgar says, I've always thought this premise would have been the best CW show. It would be a great show. I wouldn't want CW to have it because I don't trust them.
No.
I think they might be developing a show for this.
I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look.
I think I saw that on the internet.
When you say that, do you mean CW?
I hope not CW.
Man, yeah. And I love them, and they've made some wonderful things for me, and I'm very appreciative. I don't want them to have it. I think HBO or like Apple Plus.
Yeah.
So the CW shows suck and have moments that are really good sprinkled throughout. Like overall, if you look at any of the shows, The Flash, Legend of Tomorrow, most of them suck. They're bad shows. And then there will be moments that are really good, which does you go on YouTube and you watch clips of those moments.
Well, I will say, Legend of Tomorrow is fantastic. You do have to skip a little head. But I mean, it's not like critically good. It's just very fun.
Okay.
Superman and Lois season 1 was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm horrified about the Swamp Thing. I'm horrified.
Well, they're not going to continue it though.
So the DC Universe stopped because they had tax issues with the filming, right? CW has picked it up, or am I wrong? Have they dropped it?
I don't remember them picking it up to continue. I remember them just showing it the first season.
I thought they were picking it up for next
but I will say that they did continue Stargirl, and it's just as good as the first season. And I will say this to everybody again: please watch Stargirl. It's the best one. It's the best one. It's so good.
All right, dear listeners, this is my fault. This podcast is about Wicked and Divine. That was my fault. I apologize.
Production began like in 2015. I don't.
Oh shit!
Right. Nothing's happened. Yeah. So you never know.
Wouldn't it be kind of fucking dope though if you could get like a rotating cast of like guest starring rock stars to like pop?
Oh, yeah, that would be so good. Mm-hmm.
That'd be rad.
Man, give me Amy Lee. I would die. I would die if Amy Lee wasn't anything. I'd be like, oh. Or give me actors, basically being those people. That's fine too. I'll take it. Mm-hmm. Okay, we should talk more about the comic before we.
So, it is rare for a work of fiction to be this metaphysical about its own existence without being preachy or heavy-handed or annoying as piss. This book is all about the ways in which celebrity is cool and ways in which celebrity fucking sucks. And it never tries to make you, it never tries to like hold up a picture and say like, look at these fucking paparazzi. Aren't we just worms wallowing in the misery? And like, it never tries to do that to you. It shows you that that's part of it, but then it also shows you that like these things bring joy and they bring meaning, and like your life is short and brutish and painful, and these things provide a fleeting amount of joy, which is what Dionysus says is this is the only thing we can offer to mortals. It's like a fleeting moment of hope or joy, right? And it is the purpose of like of our comic book, film industry now, right? The Marvel movies only exist to make me forget that I'm gonna die one day for a couple of hours, right? The book never makes you feel bad for being into these things. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Prince. I've read maybe like 6 books about Prince's
I
life.
did not know that about you, and I am loving this.
This book does not make me feel bad for being interested in Prince, not just as an artist entertainer, but also interested in the life of a person who could develop the skill and the marketing acumen to create that life for himself. This book doesn't make me feel bad for thinking that's cool. And a lot of stuff would. A lot of stuff, don't put heroes on a pedestal. You shouldn't care about celebrities. That's such a cheesy thing. Right. There are plenty of books out there. I'm thinking of Fight Club. Right. Fight Club would make fun of me that I like Prince and I think Prince is cool. Fight Club would make fun of me for that. This book doesn't, but it does say there's a flip side to all that music and all that creativity and all that art of Prince you loved, and that flip side was the substance abuse, right? And the depression and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this book shows you that there are 2 sides to it, and it doesn't try to make you pick one. It's talking about that the situation is nuanced and complicated, and that there are ways to deal with it and to experience it that are healthy. So the book is about fanaticism and whether that gets you to a place you want to be or not. Look where Cass's fanaticism gets her, crying on the floor because no one understands her belief. And look where it gets Laura. She's fucking headless. She's doing it to Bob Crane. Right?
Yeah.
That's my deepest thought I have about the book, is that the book is about celebrity, clout culture, social media, fandom, fanaticism, mythology, and it mixes all these things together. But there are parts of the book where it's about the critique of media, especially Cass's character, right? And the best line in the book is when Ananke says to Cass, "It is a poor critic indeed who mistakes the lack of effect on them of a piece of art and says that means anyone who felt something from the art is lying," right? That's insincere.
Which is a great line.
This is a podcast about comic book fans. How often are you told that like you couldn't have possibly have liked something?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
As a media creator, which is a weird thing, all the time. And they're wrong.
All right, soapbox going back under the desk now.
My favorite Batman movies are the best ones. Joe, any final things you want to talk about before we get to the rating, and then we just chill?
Yeah, real quick. Let's circle back to the first arc, right? With Lucy and the judge. That's still something that.
Oh yeah.
Did she do it, or did somebody else do it? I don't think we got closure from that.
She's the father of lies.
Right. And so
I have no idea, because they kind of solved it. Cass kind of did, but it didn't feel
right.
That's coming back for sure.
Right. I think that's ultimately going to return and be touched on at some point.
I also don't think we're done with Lucy. It's too cool of a character for you to get rid of after 5 issues and run your book for another 25 issues and never circle back to that character.
Right. I would be surprised if it was Ananke. And I just think that because of because she obviously has some way bigger plan about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did that to kind of like domino effect some other things happening, because She's the one, right, who sacrificed in order to kind of make the thing work. So she's seen it fail before. So she has a lot in this game right now.
Yeah.
A lot of skin in the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if she did that to like kind of, because as far as everybody else, it doesn't seem like any one of them really sticks out to me as the person who did it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's Baphomet. Baphomet's kind of like a really sensitive child.
Right.
So like, yeah, he's a bad guy right now, but I don't think that's on him. I think he's just like insecure.
Yeah.
And he's afraid to die.
We also didn't touch on the little bit that Ananke said to Baphomet, which was a god killing another god, or it was a god of the underworld killing another god will extend their life. And so I'm sure that's going to come back into play at some point.
Does Persephone qualify as a god of the underworld?
Well, she would if she's dead and sent to the underworld.
She's a god in the underworld. But Persephone's the goddess of spring. Right?
Yeah, but I think like maybe she's got. I'm kind of like going back to Once and Future here. That comment. I feel like there could be a story that has to be told that there's certain steps that have to be put into place.
Sure.
For things to happen.
Yeah.
And with Persephone, she can't just be Persephone. Her whole thing is her romance, depending on which or slave, whichever you see. I read a lot of the romance personally. Of her being
trilogy of books,
to Underworld. So maybe she'll count as that. I don't know.
She's queen of the Underworld.
Before we get to our rating, Trick Show, a good thing. Also, some cool context for the series that Kieran Gillen was a music critic before.
Oh, that's awesome.
That tracks.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense for this. Tara's issue really hits on all of this. Drop what you're doing after this and read issues 12 through 13. I might just. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, they're all discounted on Comixology, right?
Yeah.
I'm tempted. We'll see what happens. All right. Rating. I'll start. I've been doing a lot of this lately, but I feel it has to be either a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 because I have remembered the last time I read a comic book, and I felt this strongly about it, and also this many theories. Because sometimes I give a book a 10 out of 10 because I think it delivered what I asked of it.
Right.
It doesn't mean that's my favorite book of all time, but I think sometimes there's a short book it was good, it was funny, it delivered, right? But this one I lean towards that because it gave me such an impression on it. And it was a good one. It's sticking with me. And I really like media that sticks with me. It makes me think about it. It makes me want to keep reading it. And I've read a lot of great comic books, and I like them, and I want to read more, but it doesn't always give me this, though. And that's pretty powerful for me. And so I either 9 out of 10 out of 10. I'm leaning towards a 10 out of 10, and I think the only reason I'm not saying it is because I have been saying that a lot lately. And I have ADHD. I feel like we ADHDers always we feel like, no, we can't keep doing the same answer. That can't be right. I have to move it.
Just reading good stuff.
Yeah. Joe.
I'm like you. So as soon as I finished it, like I said, I ran and I told Gabby about it, and then I went to bed, and as I'm laying down, it was all I was thinking about. I woke up this morning and I opened it back up and I'm flipping through it, going on Wikipedia for some of the gods. So it has this lasting impression on me where I just want to know more, and I'm touching on things that are outside of this book. It's making me now learn some stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And there's books that doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, I have to give it a 10 because it's going to have this lasting impression, even more so if I keep reading the series, which I am. And I read all 4 books, and if all 4 books have this impression on me, this is gonna be. I'm in for a ride. I'm in for a treat. So I gotta give it a 10.
Man,
there's things that I could nitpick and not nitpick, but there's things that certain parts that made it silly or not silly but funny. Like for instance, the ending of the when Lucy and Laura first meet, it's just nothing but a bunch of people knocked out. Unconscious because of the concert that they went to, they passed out. And it was like, that is hilarious. So it has funny moments, it has dark moments, so it had everything for me. So it's hard for me not to give it a 10. So that's it.
All right, Lucifer.
Yeah, I would give this a 9. A 9 out of 10. A lot of it depends on how book 2 shakes out. Because if certain storylines don't end, that will retroactively like diminish them for me.
Oh, yeah.
But that said, once again, this book is like if Sandman was good, and it's like American Gods, but better, right? I really dig this. Like I said, the art and the premise go a long way for me. There are jokes and moments from it that I remember specifically. The quote about critics, Cass saying, "Why don't I feel anything?" The cat god chasing the laser light.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Hilarious. Yeah.
There are moments from it that stick with me, and a lot of comics don't have moments that stick with me. And this book made me actually think about stuff, and I don't always want that from a comic book. I don't always want a book that makes me think about like the theological nature of Christ's soul. But it is cool whenever a book can make me think about that in an interesting way, right? Former altar boy, right? And if you have a religious background as well, the book touches you in a different way because you see elements of like people you have known who were overzealous. You see elements of that, and it touches different like emotional triggers from your own past as you're reading. So this is all by saying like 9 out of 10. And if book 2, 3, and 4 land, then yeah, this will be like on that shelf with the Hellboys and everything.
If they're just as good, I'm screwed. I'll cosplay it. I'll buy fan art on the wall. I'm done. Nice. And I don't need other hyperfixation.
You could kill Morgan with the Queen of Crows mask and the fet. You could kill that.
You could do some crows on the arm.
I could do that. I can finally be Amy Lee. My dream can come true. When Khan comes back, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. And now, let's see what the chat was saying. There's a question a while back that I wanted to answer. Oh man, who asked it? Oh, Jaden. If you became a god, what's the first thing you would do?
Whoa.
It's a big question.
It's a big one.
I wouldn't even do something fun. I would go like cure poverty and hunger. I want to act like we had this conversation before about doing like the right thing or the whatever. If I had powers, it's the Catholic guilt in me, but I'm like, I can't do it for myself immediately. I gotta go fix politicians' minds or something. And I know that's not a lie. I know you probably do. That's bullshit. I wish it was. I wish it was.
This is just like Kill or Be Killed. When I asked you and Gabby, like, could you do it? And you were like, no, I couldn't.
I couldn't. Okay, I did think about that more. If I had like a kid I needed to take care of or somebody I had to take care of and only be taken care of by me, then I think I would act differently. But currently everybody in my life is going to be okay if I'm gone. If they weren't and they were completely dependent on me, it'd be different. Anyways, the God thing, I know it sounds like bullshit, but it's true. But it's all because of guilt. I wish it was something else, just altruistic. It's guilt. That's what it is. Anyways, you guys.
The question has to be like, it would depend on the god, right? And
that's true.
Would the god depend on the person, right? So the girl who was chosen to host Lucifer, was she already a little bit hedonistic and mischievous, or was she like a prospective nun who was getting ready to take her vows, right? It would depend on that for me, because if the question is what happens if Lee gets godlike powers right now, we're popping heads, right? If the question is,
it's like bubble wrap, we're just popping heads.
Oh yeah.
If the question is, am I like possessed by, let's say, Hecate? What do I do then? I don't know.
I have no idea. I mean, I would. I don't know.
It's
too
probably
big of a
easier if
question.
like what god, what like Greek god or what mythological god would she be? It's probably
It's
easier.
good for a free beer, right?
Yeah.
Have y'all seen or read John Dies at the End?
No.
There's a bit where he goes to a party and there's a guy who, honest to God, has like prophetic visions,
Mhm.
and he's using this ability to scam free beer off of people at house parties.
Nice.
I also like this comment. AOL, you need some bigger shelves. Those books are suffering.
Yeah,
I think it's the camera angle. I think it's the angle.
Yeah, it's the camera angle. This is actually like 6 to 7 feet wide, and it's about 4 feet behind me. The camera does a fisheye thing.
Yeah.
Fisheye.
Let's see. Woke NATO Kanye West is the god basing Kanye West in his own head these days. That's true.
So
He might have been my favorite character just for laughs.
So this is the thing that made me think it was Kanye. Is whenever I was in high school, I saw a documentary about Kanye. They're already making fucking documentaries about Kanye. Whenever I was in high school, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And back then, he had paintings in his house that are identical to the painting that Ball has in his house. They're paintings in Kanye West's house of Christ washing his feet. I'm not fucking with you.
My god!
They're like Renaissance style reliefs on the wall, like that look like they're painted by Michelangelo.
Sure.
And they're of Jesus Christ kneeling before Kanye washing his feet. That's whenever I saw that. Whenever I saw like the suit, the chain, the demeanor, and then I saw that painting, I was like, "Oh, fuck, it's fucking Kanye."
Right.
Don't forget to check out Gillen's music playlist to go with the series.
I knew that very similar to Upgrade Soul. There's a playlist somewhere to listen to while you read this. There was an app with Upgrade Soul where if you read the
app.
Yeah, if you read the comic through the app, it plays you a soundtrack while you're reading it, and it's all
cool.
synthwave and like sci-fi. Yeah, it's good shit.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That tracks with him like being a music critic and everything. That makes sense.
Right. Let's go again. Gillen's Tumblr page also goes through background for everything, also for Once and Future and Die too. Ooh, okay.
I'm told Once and Future is really good.
It's good. I've got the deluxe. You can borrow it.
Die is also fun. I started Die.
Is that the one that's like tabletop RPG?
It's like D&D. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
It's fun.
James, I will be on Thursday on Newman Collective. I'm not sure who else will be there, but I will be there. Should I be using that time to prepare for next weekend? Yes. I am not.
It's all
Do my best. Oh, by the way, we're reading Moon Knight next week. If any of you guys want to join, you're welcome to. I need to look at what book it is.
Yeah, what Moon Knight? Because I know you guys just talked about the Lemire run, right?
Yeah, and that one was... I don't know what happened. It was good, but I don't... I'm that gif of that woman with all the, the equations and stuff. Just me going...
I didn't read it, so I gotta check it out.
But I think we're reading McKay's. Yeah. If anybody wants to join...
He pops up for like 2 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, and that's the only Moon Knight content I've ever...
That you're right.
I'm trying to learn some stuff before the show comes out. But you're both welcome to if you want to read McKay's Moon Knight.
Check it out.
I was going to say what we really need to do is we need to do book 2 like next month or the month after.
I'm down.
And we need to have Gabby on. Right? Unless there's like a rule where you all can't be in the room.
Listen. If I'm on, she's not. All right.
Okay. It's too full.
Okay.
Yeah, pick a Tuesday. I'm free any Tuesday. I haven't planned next month, so we can talk about it after. We don't do it on the show.
Yeah, I'm totally free.
Pull your calendars.
Totally free.
Hey, it's Larry.
Larry.
That's Kristen's dad.
Mm-hmm. I just watched his room tour.
I was confused as hell trying to follow the plot, but like 50% of the time while I was reading, I have the hardcovers. Lucky. Especially around the middle, I think. But the art is so good. I kept going. The art is so good. I'm gonna need some of that art in my house.
Yeah.
Like,
The covers are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have it written right here in my notes that the covers are better than the book. And I really like the book. So.
oh, it's so cool.
Yeah, they're really cool.
So cool.
Really reminds me of like a cross between like Jen Bartel and Christian Ward's art. It's
Yeah.
very psychedelic and clean cut.
Yep. And vibrant.
Yeah.
Whoever the colorist was.
Oh,
amazing.
absolutely. Jaden, we will be getting Deadpool this year because that's all my goals for the year is to read Deadpool. So
I haven't read enough Deadpool.
I haven't read any.
I didn't want to say it, but I haven't read it.
I haven't read any either. Didn't Gail Simone do a run?
Did
I
she?
don't know. Maybe.
Mhm.
But yeah, I already told you guys I want to read Punisher this year, but I want to read Deadpool and I want to read Punisher.
I'm just trying to find the Jason Aaron Punisher, and I can't find it because it's not on.
Oh, he wrote
the app.
Punisher? That's cool.
It's not on the app because it was a Max title. So for some reason, it's not on Unlimited.
And at some point during this year, you're all welcome to join me, but Wolverine the X-Men. But that'll be a big book, so I've been trying to be better than my guests and not give everybody like big ass things to read, but I think a few of the things this year will have to be big ass things to read. Like this. So
when we did Justice League International, wasn't that like 60 something ish?
Yeah, boring.
Yeah.
There are moments, just like a CW superhero show. It's like mostly boring, mostly like bland, and then there were moments that were like funny, memorable that you would go back and look at clips of.
Yeah, I like X-Men. I know it. Okay, I know word on the street is that I don't, but the only reason they say that because I don't care about the Dark Phoenix saga.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that's related. I think it's related to the theme of this book, which is most people look at your perception of X-Men through the prism of you're often talking about it with Omar. And when you're sitting next to Omar, anyone else will look like they hate the fucking X-Men because they're not. It's like his number one thing, right? It's like his all-timer. So like anybody else who's like, oh, maybe it wasn't the all-timer, you're immediately like raining on his parade.
It's with me and Red Sonja. That's the same thing. Because man, I love her so much. Lee, you should check out Max Bemis' run on Moon Knight. His bipolar disorder gives a really interesting perspective to the character. Okay, like mental illness. Lee and I are like, we're there. Let's talk about it.
I'll read that. If a writer can do it well, for instance, like after we did Heroes in Crisis, everybody was like, oh, if you like, stories of good portrayals of like mental illness and stuff, you've got to read Ennis's run on The Punisher. And I did, and I would never speak to any of you people ever again about
that. Yeah, I would have just been like, oh, read Unstoppable Wasp because she takes a medication for her depression.
Unstoppable Wasp
which is like the healthiest view of mental illness in any of the big two comics. And the rest of them are like, I'm depressed. I better ignore my lover and go beat up people. Like, and then there's Unstoppable Wasp, right? She's like, yeah, I take medicine for my depression. I'm like, good job. All right. My dog is telling me that it's time to wrap up. Thank you both so much. This was lovely.
Always a great time. It's always fun.
I love hanging out with you both. You always brighten my evening.
Aww.
I'm so excited for us to read the second book next month because now it's gonna be on the calendar, which now means I have to wait. But honestly, I'm kind of digging this. I'm kind of digging this book at a time.
I'm coming with notes next time. I'm doing a Lee.
All right. Oh, okay. I will continue not doing that.
Maddie will continue to finish reading it at 8:03.
It's my charm. Okay. And again, if either you want to join for Moon Knight, you're welcome to. But I'll be back next week reading Moon Knight by Jed McKay. Kristen will be here. Maybe Jessica. So it'll be a good time. And I haven't picked the Patreon book yet. I'm doing my best. Again, we're having a wedding next weekend. It's mine. I'm in it. It's taking a lot of my time. I thought about making the Patreon like comic wedding themed, but Then I'd have to look at which comic book weddings are interesting.
You should. I mean, not this one, but you should do that because I can think of like 3 off the top of my head that are really cool and interesting.
Bat Cat, Rogan Gambit, and then
Nora Freeze.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I will do that then.
There are a couple that are really good.
Okay. Maybe I still will. All right, Patreon is comic book weddings.
There we go.
I'll put it up this week, sometime. Anyways, everybody, have a good night, and we'll see you.
Bye.
Soon.